I notice that
you're feeling like the friar.
Not getting anything. Like
yeah, exactly. You're feeling like the friar. Huh? Yeah. And even people looking at you, they go like, wow, you're so naive, you're so kind, you should, you know, like this. So again, what does it mean to be kind? Does it mean to give everybody whatever they want?
No.
So what does it mean? Maybe, what's your name?
Adi.
Adi, so maybe you can tell Adi what kind is. What's kindness? It's not so much the act, it's more the mental state. Huh?
Difficult questions.
Yeah. So this is why we're bringing them. I mean, what's the point of asking you things that you already know? Then you can show me how well you're trained and how much you studied and all this. There's not much point, is it? I mean, we can, if it needs to, if you would like to do that. We can go into asking you questions that you would, that you can answer.
To be kind is to help when you have the ability to help.
Okay.
You have ability and you have a desire to help someone, and it's still without hurting yourself.
Okay. How about we start a bit lower down? To be kind, not to harm. You see, we go very, very high from the beginning. We want to help, we want to be there, whatever. But what does the Four Noble Truths say? As long as you are still caught up in your kleshas. Kleshas, you know the word, yeah? Klesha? Okay. As long as you're still caught up in your mind state that make the mind unclear and very tight. You see, all the kleshas are coming with tensions. And then we're very far away from reality, to see reality as it is. But the problem is that then what we see through the eyes of the kleshas, it seems real, it seems true, right? So we start by, we don't harm others. At all costs, I don't want to harm, okay? And kindness is a state of mind. It's not necessarily giving, and then you burn out and then you get angry. Now, why we can and why it's okay to say no and put borders is that we start to see, hey, you know, this is going too much. So again, the problem with generosity is a little bit that we're not really generous. You know, again, the practice would be, yes, give everything you have. I mean, this is, how many of you know Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara?
The way of the
Bodhisattva.
The way of the Bodhisattva. We are not learning that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's.
We are learning the 8 verses of Langitangpa.
Yeah, okay, because that one is pretty heavy. Next weekend we have a course on the first chapter. It's about bodhicitta, okay? So bodhicitta is meaning no borders. You know, but again, the way also he structures his text is by, first he talks about the advantage of bodhicitta. So we need to know what we're getting into here. First, it has an advantage. Why is he trying to do that? It's the same way. How many of you have children? Okay. So if you just tell them that they have to do something they don't like, why would they do it? So how do you get them to do what they don't like?
Motivate them.
You ask them what they want and you find a middle ground that will serve both benefits.
You tell them about the advantage, what happens when they do it. And if you put the carrot in front of their nose, isn't it?
Krembo.
Now the season for the krembo starts. So you put the carrot in front of their nose, not because you want to trick them into doing something they don't want to do, not because you want to have power over them. Shouldn't be like that. But what's the motivation? Because you know it's true. You know it's true that if they do what they don't like to do now, that there will be an advantage. So when we do something that is difficult, we need to know these things. And this is why Shantideva is starting first with the advantage of this mind who wants to benefit all sentient beings. And you know, when you start to work with bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, you understand very quickly that now here we are, you know, very far away from that. But we should just be inspired by it and then go through these steps. But we hear the idea of being of benefit to all sentient beings. We're very attracted to it because, yes, it is very noble and it everybody has, you know, bodhicitta, this kind of thing wanting to benefit all sentient beings. This is our nature. So that, again, it starts to wake up. But then we forget that we haven't trained yet. So then, as you said, what happens? We break. So you have all these very, very structured ways and methods how to come from a very self-centered person slowly, 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 slowly. First by really very consciously, and this is what mindfulness is all about, very consciously not to harm others, neither with your body, nor with your speech, nor with your thoughts. And that goes into kindness already. I find somebody very, very kind who doesn't harm me. Unfortunately, for us, this is not enough. They have to help us to see them as kind, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, what you said, you know, again, when we practice generosity, so the way Shantideva then kind of continues is by, he says, in order to develop this mind, you need to prepare the ground. You need to prepare the conditions. So, what does he say? First, in the second chapter, I don't know if you're familiar with it, he says you need to purify a negative karma with the 4 opponent powers. He doesn't say go out and help and create a lot of merit. No, first is you need to purify. And then the way he starts with generosity is just with the mind. You know, he offers his body, his possessions, blah, blah, to all the Buddhas and to all the Bodhisattvas. Very elaborate. But he trains the mind to give limitlessly. Now, we want to give, but we haven't trained to give limitlessly. We kind of, our worldly generosity is, okay, I give, but hey, then I want something back. It's a clear understanding we don't really know about the law of cause and effect. Because the law of cause and effect is, I do an action now, that creates a seed on the mind. I see many of you not, okay? So you heard about karma. It puts a seed on the mind stream, but then me, as you said, I want the result now. So if I give something to Alon, he has to give it back immediately. But when you know about law of cause and effect, that seed is planted. You don't have to worry. It will ripen at one point. It cannot ripen now. Why? Because that would be saying, you know, here I have an orange, there's seeds inside, so inside that little seed I want another orange. If you want a new orange from that seed, what do you have to do?
Wait.
You have to plant it, you have to water it, you have to create the conditions, and you have to wait a long time. Now, why it looks that sometimes there is so-called instant karma, there is no instant karma, the same as where there is no instant oranges. But when I'm very generous, it makes it easier for Alon's investment mind to give something back because he has received something. Now, if I don't give anything, then it's very difficult that, well, Alon maybe is. I'm just using you as an example, okay? I'm not saying you're stingy or anything.
No.
Yeah? So, you see how the way it looks that sometimes when we are kind, that kindness is coming back, but that's not the result of your kind action now. That's just a condition for the other person to be kind also. You know, when you're very relaxed, even in this country, people immediately relax. Well, not immediately, but very but very quickly I can see it, you know. I mean, it's like in Tel Aviv, like the where you walk is very narrow. And then they have trees, and they have this, and they have bus stands, and then so it gets even narrower. And then you have your bicycle, and you have people, and so when it's very narrow, and maybe people hear you coming with a quick step. So it looks as if sometimes they even go like this. They don't want to let you through, isn't it? It's quite.
I think they're on the freeway. That's why.
It's quite amazing. But then what I noticed, because me usually I have time. I go in time. I start when I need to go to the train station. I really make sure that I have at least 10 minutes before I get there, so I don't need to stress. I don't like to stress. It's not necessary. I can leave the house, you know, at the right time. So I notice it also when I don't react, when I don't push from behind, I'm not playing the game. And then they start to look. And then I smile at them, and then they let me go. They let me through. They get to the side. Yeah.
You get the secret here.
Huh?
That's the secret.
The secret is not to push.
Or red robe.
I don't, yeah, maybe.
Surprise!
Yeah, there's a few people who kind of bow, but very, very few. But some know me or they're happy to see me. But it's just, no, it's totally ordinary people, you know. The moment you start to push, the person in front starts to kind of tense up. But unfortunately, in this country where it seems that you have to fight for everything because everybody is fighting, unfortunately, everybody thinks they have to fight in order to get what they want. But try it out when it's not costing so much. Try to be flexible. Try to be not tense. This is the thing. Try to be relaxed and try to be friendly also. And say thank you when they let you go. So at least it's, you know, they see, oh wow, it's worthwhile. We made some contact with somebody else. It's quite amazing to see how when you are relaxed, how very quickly when the people notice it around you, they also relax. So, you see, because I have so much time, then I also know how people are in this country. So I experiment with them. So I use them as guinea pigs, actually. The Israelis, they're very good guinea pigs, because guinea pigs is like these animals that unfortunately are in the labs.
Ah, okay.
But I'm not operating them, I don't make them suffer, I try to make them smile. And very, very often it works. You just, you know, people look at me, I look at them, I smile. And very often they're so surprised that they totally crack up in a smile, quite often. So you can do the same thing. So already this is kind, you don't need to help. Just don't make people more tight and more intense. But this whole thing, as you say, Adi, you know, it's true, because the way we practice generosity, it's like an investment. So with an investment, I want something back. So if you do trust the law of cause and effect, you don't have to worry. Yeah. Also, you see, in Buddhism, there is no Buddha sitting there and looking, and he sees that you were generous, and then he writes it in his big book, you know, and then after a few years, or goes like this, after a few years he says, oh wow, yes, you know, there was this action, Adi gave this and this, so she probably forgot, but nothing, you know, now I'll give her the present. But then you don't know. This is the problem with karmic imprints. When the results come, we don't remember. We don't remember. And if you take it into instant karma, very quickly you lose faith in this law of cause and effect, because, you know, you, as you say, you give. But, you know, by giving now, you might in the future, who knows, in the future life, you might be Queen of Saba or something like this. You know, you might be a person who gets so much, who doesn't have to work and this and that. So, but that's not why we should do it, but that's the result of it. But we don't trust that. We want something back immediately, isn't it? Because we invest. For us, generosity and kindness is an investment, and this is dangerous. Same as all the expectations we bring into the meditation hole or cushion, isn't it?
I think that we can now rephrase as kindness as being the ability to give whatever, if it's a state of mind and thought, without any expectation in return.
Not just giving, everything. It's like, you know, hope and fear comes, what stands at the beginning of it is our high expectations. Coming back to ethical conduct, the standards we put for other people are incredibly high. They should be like God. You know, they should never lie to me, they should never harm me, they should never steal from me, they should never take my partner, they should never gossip about me, they should never spread rumors about me, and if they do, oh, I'm terribly hurt. Isn't it? So we put the standards for other people, and we don't even know them. We put them very high. Expectations. You go out of the house in the morning, you have an unconscious expectation that if you go by train and bus, they will be on time. Totally unreasonable. That there will be no traffic jam. Totally unreasonable, especially if you have to go to work when other people have to go to work. Then you're there, and isn't it that every morning there is a slight moment of surprise when you have to slow down and then stop? Isn't it? Every morning. No? Okay. No. Good. Really? No? Watch it.
I am
Really?
surprised when there is a traffic jam at 12, at noon. Yes, I am surprised.
Okay.
But I know there's rush hours, and then if I don't want
And there's
to...
no slight feeling of annoyance, nothing.
I'm working on it.
Huh?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so but there is. This is what I'm saying. I'm not, surprised. Wow, not like this. Slight annoyance. Why? Because we were expecting unconsciously that this morning it should go through. It doesn't. This is the problem. It doesn't happen consciously. It happens unconsciously. These is our expectations that we don't see. Okay. So if you go out of the house in the morning, and then maybe if traffic jam is really a big thing, but let's take something easier. Because it is big and it's very common and everywhere, Like even in Switzerland we have traffic jams every morning. When I listen to the news, it's like traffic jam here and there and da. And then they used to say waiting time, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour. Now they say, in Switzerland, I don't know how it is here, they say losing time.
No.
They changed this from waiting to wasting. So then, of course, you're even more stressed because you lose something, waste something. Waiting is okay, Waiting is great. Waiting means nothing to do. Finally, I can rest. Wasting is like no good. Yeah. So then, I don't know why maybe I should write to the radio and say, hey, this is not so good. So we have these expectations that, nobody will steal from me today, nobody will cheat me today, nobody will be unpleasant to me today. Again, very unconscious, like automatic pilot down here. Then when we come home in the evening and nobody has insulted me, nobody has scratched my car, there was no accident with my car, maybe others, okay, doesn't matter. Oh, poor things, but when it's mine, then, what else? Like these things. We come home, nothing of this has happened. What happens?
Forget. We don't say thank you.
We don't notice it. Mm-hmm. Because your expectations, you only notice them when they don't get met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I expect from this meeting to be exploring and to learn something new and to experience something new.
Uh-huh.
So,
but what if you don't? I'm not saying anything new.
You said that if I don't, then I'm gonna remember it. And with this one, I do agree with you. But what I want to say is that even if it would be really good, and I will get out of the door very inspired and inspired and glad that I came, I will also remember it.
Mm-hmm. But you will remember it much better if you go out terribly disappointed.
No, and also I can't imagine how could I come here without expectation from the meeting, without expecting it to be good. Then I wouldn't come.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So how is it possible?
It is possible by saying, I go and see what it is all about. Having a mind that is totally open. What can I lose? This one, Because you see, the higher the hope and the expectation, the more you'll be disappointed. This is why I hate it when people go like, before it was Anirita, now it's Losang. Losang is much better because not many people know me, actually. Anirita was like the name, and then they say, wow, she's fantastic. And when people hear that, I don't know what they expect from me, because I'm not fantastic. I'm just trying to practice these things. So, whereas when nothing, and they just think, I have nothing else to do, I go. I mean, at the end they say, oh wow, it was actually quite good. If they come with high expectations, then they go, it wasn't so great. Yeah. So it's not that we're not doing anything when we have no more expectations. Now, for example, this is about hope and fear. Yeah. So expectations, if we are very, very conscious what they are, then I guess it's okay, because then we say, well, these were my expectations, they were not met, so fine, Because hope, when we talk about that the hope is not so helpful, is when we talk about unrealistic hope. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when your kid doesn't want to do the homework, and then of course you have to encourage that kid, but the child needs to understand you have to create the causes in order to get what you want. So that means you have to study. There's no point just saying, oh, don't need to study, don't worry, it will be okay. Yeah. And if the hope is really strong, like some mother came to see me also when she was saying, my child, he studied really well, but he is so afraid of the exams that he's so tense and there's so much fear. So I went and I said, look, you know that you could fail? And he said, well, yes. And then I said, but it will be okay to fail, because you will not be the first one nor the last one. And your life will continue. And I'm a very good example. I left school when I was 15, and I think now I'm 67. I think I had a more or less happy life. It was okay. I have no diplomas. Never inside the university. I did earn a lot of money. Well, yeah, hard work, but it was okay. So it's not, but you see, the kids, especially today, they have this thing also, if I can't go to university, my life will be finished. I can't earn a lot of money, and what shall I do with my life if I don't have a lot of money? Yeah, for example. So, but just by hearing this, he was 16, I think, that you will not be the first one, and nor the last one who fails at an exam. You're not so exclusive, it's okay to fail. He didn't fail, because he went relaxed. You see, with this hope kind of thing, I have to succeed in all this, it creates the fear of not succeeding. And fear, when we talk about fear, again, it's not that you should just go carelessly and recklessly out in the world and not be afraid of anything. It's okay to be afraid of things that then would hinder from what we want. Yeah? Like, for example, if we want to be an ethical person, it is okay to have a certain kind of fear to do unethical actions. This kind of fear. But I'm talking about this, this kind of fear that actually accompanies most of or all of our kleshas. Yeah? Like, for example, arrogance, which is not self-confidence. Yeah? Arrogance comes always together with the fear that somebody doesn't recognize my qualities, somebody is better than me, somebody shows them all my weaknesses or whatever. Anger, again, anger is also accompanied by fear, the fear of getting what you don't want. Attachment is also accompanied by fear, as you said. If you have a lot, these people have much more fear of losing than the people who don't have much. It's quite amazing, actually, how tight and stingy people can be who have a lot of money, how difficult it is for them to be generous. And I think it's because, you see, many people, and maybe also us, most of us are convinced that if I have zero financial problems, I will be okay, isn't it? Yeah, but it's not like this. Go and live with these people who have zero financial problems. They have other fears, they have other problems. Yeah. So all these hopes that we have, that if I have that, this will happen, and if I have that, this will happen, they're creating at the same time the fear that I will be unhappy if I don't have it. So then the expectations that we have, it's fine, but very often they're very high. And then, of course, we get disappointed. And we have especially an expectation of on ourselves. I should always succeed. Isn't it? If I cook a meal, it should be good. Why? As if you would be the only one who kind of messed up. I almost said fucked up, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have quite a kind of coarse language because, as I say, I left school when I was 15.
I got used to it from
and
my class.
they got used to it. Okay, so you're not the first one who messed up a meal. Yeah, and then what's the big deal? You throw it away and you cook something new. But every time we start something, we think or we have to hope that we will succeed. So then, of course, when we kind of mess it up, we're terribly disappointed. We criticize ourselves. We put ourselves down. We identify ourselves with the meal. Well, I was inattentive. The fire was too high. I burned it, or put too much salt, or not enough of this, or not enough of that. We throw it away. No big deal. You see, these two mental factors of hope and fear, unfortunately, they create a lot of tension in our life. And then this whole thing that come behind that I'm no good and this and that. So then you can come with reasoning and say, so come on, you know. So what is the big deal? See, hope and fear makes a big deal out of everything where there's no need to make a big deal. But you're not becoming, how to say, motivation-less. But maybe you put your motivation there where it's helpful. Like, for example, you say, okay, I go to this talk. If it's not so good, if it's not interesting, whatever, what's the advantage of that? Well, I was here 2 hours, didn't create any negative karma. Well, with your thoughts maybe, I don't know, but at least not with the body, not with the speech. I didn't spend any money, like, okay, there's a donation box that if you were put some money into it, that, but if you would have been out, what would you have to spend the money on?
Beer.
Beer, coffee, Glida, pizza, Rambo, whatever, things that are in general not so rewarding, yeah? Whereas if you're here and the talk is terribly disappointing, and the motivation is, if it's disappointing, may I be relaxed about this? May I be not, you know, disappointed in a way I go home and I'm upset and I get angry at my husband? May I be able to take it? Okay, she's no good. So what? What's the big deal? Nobody, I didn't say I was good. You know, if he told you that I was good, it's not my fault. Isn't it? So this, you know, we can put our motivation there instead of expecting something from others. You have no control over me. Whether I'm good or not, this is depends on my state of mind. It depends on your interest also, you see, because if everybody is sitting there like this, then also the teacher loses interest very quickly. You're not getting the best out of the teachers if you don't participate. Yeah, this is what the children do when if only they would understand this. If they collaborate with the teacher has a lot of fun teaching them. There's like, really, because it goes both ways, yeah? You see, if I only get criticism from this side, and if, like, I usually don't, but also not here, I don't feel like this, sorry, I'm just using examples. And, you know, whatever I'm saying is kind of, then also I lose very quickly, I lose interest, and then there's nothing flowing between us. Yeah? There needs to be a collaboration between the people who listen and the teacher, because whatever a teacher says, especially like in spiritual terms, you can always come up with a yes but. Because why? Because we don't see things as they are. Things are relative. It depends from which side you're looking. Now again, coming back to the fear. You see, in Buddhism, they say fear comes from lacking awareness. Because one thing is, the moment you're distracted, you become tense because you don't know what's going on. You know, your mind is really scattered. This is why you have to practice awareness also. That you don't scatter and then you don't tense up. Because the more tense you are, the more scattered you become. Yeah? And you know that. If you're late, tension. Instead of, if you only, what's your name?
Lila.
Lila. If that's the only thing you take away from this evening, I tell you this will be so valuable. The moment you're late, your first thing is to relax. Yeah.
Please don't tell them that. Please.
Then you might.
They have the habit to get late to my.
Then you might come on time. Then you might come on time, because when you start to tense up and you need to do this and this and this and this before you go, you break something, you drop something, this and this and this. Relax, relaxation. 1 minute. To be aware, to come inside, oh, I'm all tense. Then, as we did now, this is such a great meditation to relax. By breathing out, you open up. Did you feel some effect of this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so simple. Think, you know, here is a big lotus flower in here. Now it's all closed because I'm late. Then you breathe in. You bring the awareness to where the tension is. You breathe out. I'm opening up. Not letting go. Opening up. Be open, because with hope and fear we're not open. And our nature is to be open. So we're constantly, besides our nature, we're not really there. Yeah? So not to relax and not to come, I'm not saying that. But not to start to rush around.
No,
Not to rush.
Students now sitting here, oh, I'm a good practitioner. I was waiting so many times, I'm a good practitioner. I like this now, I like this now.
Let's check this. Are you totally careless when you come late? Let's check it. Be honest. How many of you also come? Who is it who comes late? We're not making the camera go this way, it's okay. Some people who come late. How do you feel when you come late?
Anxious.
Huh?
Ashamed.
Ashamed, anxious. So that's the first thing you have to let go, because it makes you tense. And then next time again you're late. And next time again you're late. And again you're late. And again you're late. Okay? And the more you go like, sorry, I have to tell the
No.
truth. The more you tense up about being late, the more you will be late. This is it. The more you start to judge yourself and all this. But make a plan. You know, there is something that one can do about lateness. Make a plan. Start an hour before you come. Leave the things that you can leave. Put priorities. And then you can think, I don't want to feel ashamed and embarrassed anymore. When somebody comes late, I see their embarrassment. And the first thing I do is trying to make them at ease. When they say, I'm sorry, I'm late. I say, yeah, okay, you're late, but you're not too late. Too late is bad, because too late would mean that they haven't come. Late is okay. And also, you know, I don't mind waiting. Because as I said to somebody today, because she's a baby and she said, I have to put the baby to sleep, what will you do? I said, I'll wait. And while I wait, I have nothing to do. I think it's fantastic. It's a moment to relax. Nothing to do, just being. So if you can't deal with the word waiting, drop it and say, wow, time for being. Isn't that wonderful? And time for being you need as a meditator, because otherwise you don't know how to relax. Yeah? So make a plan in order not to be late. Or trick them into coming, I don't know, pay them.
10 minutes in the Israeli humanity outside this door.
But you know, you can also adjust, like, you know, for example, in Italy or whatever, or Spain. It's like, when it says that you start at 7:30, it's like, whoa, it might start at, I don't know, 7:45. Even in Switzerland, people are so punctual also, you know. We have also the same as here. People come, we drink a cup of tea, then whether it's a small group, whether we start at 7 or 7:15, it doesn't really matter. Then I just go on longer. So it's okay. I think, yeah, discipline is okay, but not tense discipline, not discipline because
Flexibility.
it has to be like this, you know. Again, the more relaxed you are, the happier you become, the more you will have space in your life, the more you will do the things quietly and in a focused way, and the more free time you will have.
There is a problem for me, for example, between being relaxed and be lazy. Lazy person, he is very relaxed.
You will find. Do you meditate a lot?
Excuse me? No.
Yeah.
I
So-
didn't tell him, but no.
So okay.
But I still love her.
Okay. So try to sit more often, because then you will feel the difference between it. Because you're the only one to find out. You are the only one that can find out whether it's being relaxed or whether it's going into what is called laxity or dullness. And this you find out in your meditation, when you find the middle between, like, really awake but totally relaxed. Yeah. So again, with your expectations and with your hopes and fears, you cannot be relaxed. Yeah. And this is why we want too much out of the meditation, or maybe we want the wrong thing. Yeah, I hear people say sometimes, oh, I had a really good motivation, I was so calm and I was really there, and then somebody else say, oh, my mind was all over the place. A good meditation is when you apply the methods, when you follow the instructions. That is a good meditation. So if the meditation is 5 minutes, but following the instructions, this is why I keep saying, you know, I don't just shut up and let you do whatever you want to do, because then the mind gets distracted and you don't see that you are distracted. So actually the word mindfulness means memory, smrti. Yeah, it means knowing your object, knowing what is your object. So I gave you different objects so that the mind doesn't become bored. Then with time, one object is enough. Yeah, but what we just did to relax. This is all we did. That was the purpose. It wasn't to be focused. It wasn't to be clear or whatever. You know, if you try to practice clarity too quickly, you become tense. Yeah. So first you practice opening up. This is the body is very good to do that, like relaxing. Then you practice stability. Then the stomach. When you do breathing meditation, your abdomen is very good. Then you practice clarity. Then you can come here. But if you start with the tip of your nose, where the focus is very, very small, and the mind is, it will not work, and you will not have a result. Okay? But this, again, coming back to hope and fear. Many people say, who would like to meditate, but who don't meditate on their own. Well, then go to different groups, for example. You need the discipline. You need to train the discipline in the group. You need the inspiration of the group. See, many people want to do this alone. When somebody comes, like after a talk like this, and they say, oh, can I have this and this and this instruction? And I ask them, are you going to a group? And they say, no. And I say, well, then go to a group. You need the group. You need the Sangha. Otherwise, your practice falls apart. Unless you're really, really, really experienced. I mean, I practice in the morning alone, because why? 20 years of practice and being a nun, if I can't get my act together, and not even every day also. No. I know when I do. I mean, I have my practices that I need to do, so they last at least an hour, if not an hour and a half, or sometimes 2. But sometimes I don't take the time to do shamatha meditation before I start. These commitments I do anyway, okay? So, because it's a commitment, and I'm happy to have these commitments, and even if I just do blah, 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 I still do it. It keeps me at it. So the practice doesn't totally stop. But the shamatha, sometimes also, a lot of diligence, discipline, but then sometimes, I don't do it. Then, the moment I notice it, after maybe a few weeks or a few days, I go, hey, and then I go back to it. And I go back to it, and I go back to it, and I go back to it. Then I feel the result. This is why also, you see, it's very, very difficult to meditate or to sit when there's zero result. And the zero result is because we're not relaxed. Because you have too high expectations. You think that after a few days or a few months even, you should be always calm, and then you take the calmness out into your daily life. It's not like this. Me also, I have the mind who goes all over the place. And you hear it. Every teacher tells you. But you think that you should be the one to whom this is not happening. Isn't it? Yeah, so this is what that you have to let go. That you start to hear what the teachers say. It's very difficult, especially in a daily life. And I'm really telling you, you need the Sangha. You need the people around you. So, you know, if this is happening once a week, or I don't know how many times. I mean, I know somebody in the north, for example. She doesn't work. So, but she's a very good meditator, and she really studied a lot, and she's very good Buddhism and all that. So she started meditation groups. She has 8 groups. One is at 8 o'clock in the morning in this place, one is at 9 this, and one is at 10 there, and not so close together. So she makes it easier for people to come. So you can start your own Sangha somewhere. When you know some people are living nearby. So you say, let's meet 3 mornings in the week, for example.